No.
Oh,
What we're going to do, and what we agreed to do, is get a website for our homeowners. Where you could get on that website, we could get on that website, where we could correspond with the community. This email, back and forth, I mean, my God, how can you read all this stuff? I mean, I've got, he knows.
Well, what is the website I just signed up for, that I had to approve?
it's for the Masters homeowners thing,
I
right?
don't know.
It's for everybody. He covers all the associations in Bolo.
It's our Bennyver
Oh.
across the street
Yeah,
from me.
he
He was
runs
who
the
set up
website.
Remington.
It's a larger website,
Added.
which includes
That's
many.
not us?
No.
But he
Well,
does
we're
have it
included.
segmented, yes,
Yeah,
you
we're
only have
included.
That's
access.
not what we talked about. We talked about a website for
But-
our
Right,
association.
that's what I thought I was.
You
At
could
what
get on it,
meeting?
I could get on it.
Is there a cost to it, and what's
Well,
the, I mean,
there is,
do we
there
really
is an
need our
initial
own
cost, and then there's
website?
gonna be like a yearly cost. Yes, I mean, it's,
This is
No,
free.
This is free, this one's free.
no, the one we talked
No,
about.
but I mean,
there
if
was
you
a
got
cost, was there not?
a website that.
So what was the yearly amount?
I think it was $100 a year.
Oh, who has that
That's
website?
that bigger website, it's all the communities of
Yeah, but
Lowell.
who
That's
does
not-
that?
I think I said 600.
Who does it?
but I was one.
Somebody independent.
Oh.
Okay, regardless. of
And he's
what-
neutral.
How much it costs. It's for our use and our use only. We can control what gets on there. All this stuff that I read here, it's just absolutely asinine. I'm not gonna read it. I really am not.
So I don't even know what site you're talking about. because
It's one
yesterday
that's
I signed
the-
up for something I didn't even know that I thought.
Who
was
told you to
on.
sign up for it?
Huh?
There was a blast, an email blast that said, sign up for the new Bolo, City of Bolo website, something.
Volo
Yahoo one?
homeowners.
No, the Volvo,
No,
It was called
Remington Wall.
Volo homeowners.
yeah, so it's like all the communities around here, it's not just us.
Well, that's what I thought it was. So then you sign up, then you gotta be approved and.
But you only
So there's
see
that website,
our
and then there's the one
association.
Rose has
There's
going on.
segment.
It's
Oh.
gonna confuse all homeowners.
He just runs all of them on
Yeah.
one site, but each site has their own access
It's his
port.
hobby.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I was gonna say, well, he just does this for fun?
Just
It's his
for fun.
hobby.
No, it's his business.
No, it's not his job, he's a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Oh.
And before I forget, please,
He's across the street from me.
do not send any emails to Marion Herald. That's my wife's email. Send it to mine, HW Bill. My wife gets 300 emails per day. She cannot go through all of them. It's impossible.
I haven't sent one email.
I'm not saying
But you're looking.
because you're so pretty.
Oh.
I received 114.
Pretty and
Look at
pink.
me all you want.
But
Okay.
to me, the emails are so ridiculous and so juvenile that I can't believe that people partake in this. I mean, it would be like your husband and I sitting in a construction meeting yelling at each other. They toss us out.
Yeah.
The owners would say, "You idiots, get the hell out of here." And when you calm down, you come back to the meeting. Am I right? Everything is ordered. Now,
Except
What
for
I
the
thought we
owners,
were,
right?
what I thought we were gonna talk about are the pressing issues, which is this friggin' landscaping fiasco. We're spending a ton of money, which we all know, and what are we getting for it? Not much that I can see.
Minimal.
And everybody I've talked to, like, it's Josh, right? Like Josh, I mean, anybody walking around the neighborhood can see what a shambles it is. Penny found a guy that lives in our community, and he gave us a little presentation, and to me, he made sense. He gave us a real quick proposal, and it was a fraction of what our landscaping
Oh.
that we have.
I have a question.
Speak.
Now, were any of you guys like one of the people who like bought in here right when it opened?
Yes.
So when they have the models and they're all landscaped out and everything and look like, is that what you guys thought we were gonna get?
We purchased from a floor map in the
Yeah.
models. There
But I mean,
nothing
was
built
it
when
all
we
supposed
purchased.
to be like the models? I mean,
Well,
was
they were
lands?
built.
They weren't built. The models, I'm sorry, the models were built.
But I mean, those are all
Yeah,
cherry
the models were
with
built, but there
bushes.
wasn't, exactly. It didn't show anything. It just
Oh.
showed a map of buildings and trees placed everywhere. It was just a map. We purchased off of the map.
Oh,
There
so
was
there
nothing
was.
built.
So you didn't
okay.
see the model the way it was.
So they didn't know that,
Well,
what the.
no, the models were, but we didn't ask that question.
Oh, you didn't, because you assumed that,
We
you
just
know.
assumed, right,
Well, when I moved in,
you know, I'm buying it a model, I would have assumed that it all
That-
looked.
Yeah,
Pat told me that if I wanted my patio to look like that, or I wanted the front, because she had all kinds of flowers,
yeah,
I could do that. Well, that's the first thing I started doing, is digging up the clay, getting rid of it.
So when you bought, yours was a brand new unit and they
Brand
said
new,
the landscaping is not
And
included?
I backed right up to the model.
Oh,
So I have all that beautiful landscaping around the patios that I look at, but I had nothing
around your
for
own?
me.
I see.
And I have a lot of dead bushes,
Okay.
and I still have some dead bushes, but I replaced a lot of them. Josh, he's in the process of wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah, we do.
Susan, Margaret,
We do too.
Susan spent $2,000 just to do her little strip in between the, I mean, she did it on her own. She wanted something nice.
Well,
to
yeah,
look at.
I'm
I
willing
want-
to do my own.
You know, I don't see why the association, and I'm sure they could because their money's available, if we can get some volunteers, we could do a lot of this ourselves for a fraction of the cost. Your husband knows that we can buy stuff for cost.
Tell us about your big thing. You don't want, okay.
So let's just stay on task, we're not gonna get anything done. So is the thing, so our contract is up with the current landscaper, is that the issue?
No.
Well, we can't break the contract, so the contract runs out till the end of the
Penny
contract.
says that it is a breakable contract.
Every contract is, 30-day notice required.
They have 2 cuttings left, well, they have more than 2 cuttings left, but we want to limit them to 2 cuttings, because they keep cutting the 1-inch grass down to a no.
Mhm.
And I said, you know, every 3 weeks right now would be plenty. During the drought, they could have cut once a month. In some areas, I've got dead grass, they didn't need to cut at all. So, yes, they can cut twice more, and then I would say, in my opinion, I don't think that contract should be renewed. We should look to another more creative not a landscaper, but a guy that can help us get grass to grow
Yeah,
in areas that it should be growing.
right.
In areas that it can't be growing, then we do something else.
Now, can the guy, because I understand the guy that went around, he's a landscaper, right? Or he owns some kind of outdoor business, is he willing to basically open up a contract for, you know, the mowing?
The homeowner that we went around
Yeah,
with?
yeah.
No,
He
he's
doesn't-
not, he doesn't have business big enough for that.
I know something.
I'll give you their name. He's been doing this for a few years, but it's only him and
Small
a
town.
few buddies when he gets the job. Essentially, something like this would be a very good place for him to get established.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the equipment now, but, you know, open up a contract, heck, fork him a couple grand, buy a couple nice mowers, you know, it's good to go.
Harold brought up a valid point for him the other night about talking about taking before and after photos of what, you know, he has now worked with and what we will have late.
Well, you gotta interview more than one guy.
No, we do,
He's,
right.
I
This-
mean,
he
one-
just owns a unit here.
Oh.
He's lived here
So
since
he's
the
a
beginning also.
I see.
He lives right there in the corner unit, right behind Penny, kind of catty corner from you all.
He owns that unit, he doesn't live there.
He doesn't live there, but his number was,
On our
To the
street?
right of yours.
Oh, okay.
his numbers were right about 22% under what we got from Landscape Concepts,
Not including mowing.
not including mowing. No,
Plus,
they give us a contract just for doing the seeding.
their apples to apples were well over $5,000
Oh.
for a different kind of a process, which to me did not make any sense.
I got a landscaper too. He's got a company.
What's your name?
What's his name?
What's his name?
Doug
Doug?
Lavernier, Levernier.
You got a number?
847 3417. 847-875-3417. And his company is Dreams Granted.
Is he local here?
Dreams Grants.
He's from Ireland.
Grants is like GRANTIS?
What did you
Granted,
say?
granted.
Granted.
G-R-A-N-T-E.
I'm sorry.
So you only did your patio?
Huh?
So you only did your patio?
There's gotta be a dozen guys that would love to have this
Oh,
contract to cut
of
this
course.
I
grass.
was gonna say
I
that.
mean, cutting this grass.
So is there really two different services you're looking at, like one to handle the landscaping piece and one to handle the mowing?
We have one service to snow plow and cut the grass. Anything
Oh, I see.
over and above that is a quote.
Right.
You got a job, you can quote it, mark it up, and boom, that's it.
So what, our current landscaper is not our mower.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is not.
He is-
He's our mower, and
This is
anything
not-
he's
this is
done, we make
outside.
type of proposals for him.
Oh,
But he doesn't do
But
anything
that's
else.
So
not
it's
the number.
the
That
cost of
doesn't
material,
change. That
anything
doesn't
about
work
the
there
grass.
I was trying to pin him down and see what happened, what his labor rates were, and he wouldn't give it to me.
Business.
Yeah, you should be able to get unit costs for everybody,
Absolutely.
so,
And you said his last name.
whatever it is per man hour, or whatever they want, however they work it.
You know, the men are paying $15 an hour,
That's what, that's,
probably very
Yeah,
few
Doug
benefits.
Livermore.
What's the markup, what's the
And he
overhead,
is,
what's the insurance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Him and
we'll
his
see.
son.
$70 an hour, and the man gets $15 an hour.
Right,
We can hire a guy for $25 an hour and have him work for us all year long, and he'll never leave. He won't go back to Mexico, he'll stay right here with us.
College, yeah.
He'll
College
shovel the
kids
snow.
cut paint houses, college kids cut lawn.
But anyway, that's one issue, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, I was like,
Absolutely.
a main thrust of what we're trying to do, because we only have till September 15th to do anything at all before the cold weather starts setting in, because it takes time for whatever they're gonna do for this seed to germinate, to
right,
take
right.
hold.
November first is about the cutoff for seed.
Right, so they have to do it now and get prepared for it. If we have 90-degree weather for the next week, then they have to wait till after that. But once that weather
it
changes,
could be any one of us.
somebody's gotta be in place to go ahead and do this.
We'll just tell him that
Now,
I.
David from Landscape Concepts,
Let them know.
he's not very quick on returning to give you a quote for the next project. I talked to him last week.
Is that our
Get
current
back to
guy?
me. That's the current.
Okay.
Well, he was switched. We have a different contract manager. David took over.
Oh, okay.
And now we have another guy. And he takes probably 1 to 2 weeks before he even gets back to us. with a quote.
Oh,
That's not good.
If he was gonna walk the property
Day
again.
stops.
Just say you're gonna 40
Well,
grand.
the homeowner that we had walking around with us, that night, he went home and he sent me the proposal.
It's probably worth taking a chance on, but,
You can't lose.
I mean, he could be on a one, on a
Give him one
probational, give him one project.
see how he does it.
You know,
But I
Cindy,
thought he doesn't have equipment, he does have equipment.
Well, not for
Well,
us,
he's got
but
some-
for other projects, like if we have
Whatever
receiving
equipment
or
he needs, he
something.
rents. I'm sure he doesn't have a warehouse, I'm sure he doesn't have a backhoe. If he needs one, he's gonna go rent it for the day or whatever it is.
But that should be his cost of doing business. I'm noticing the financials always show a supplies line and the landscaping costs and all of these subheadings. That should be part of the cost of they bid it on.
No, it will be. I mean, that cost was a flat cost of $3,700 something dollars.
That was for the
That was for the
proposal
whole
that
job.
he gave for the whole job.
Right. So there's no hidden cost there that we have to worry about, rental costs or anything like that for equipment.
But we're already paying for that, is what we're saying.
Right.
It's built into their number.
Well,
Whatever stuff he's gotta rent is,
but
doesn't
our,
matter.
our financials, they are a little difficult to read. There is a supply landscaping cost, and there is a landscaping cost. And if you look at the financials, and I can actually pull them out,
Is that,
thank you, no, that's not, I gotta pick them in. There's two separate costs that we're paying, it's different every month. One month it's like $2,300 for supply, but that same month it's a $5,000 charge.
I
So
think,
Depending on if they're
I think they're
fertilizing or-
filtering it.
But
Should
see,
be
now
all,
we pay,
should be all in the contract.
we all paid for that in the contract, so if there's a questionable cost in there that needs to be addressed,
There's lots of those on those financials.
Oh, I know I came in late, so I apologize for that, but maybe you already talked about this, but where you said that there was a fungus probably
Yeah.
affecting the dead, did he
Steve
address
said
that?
there isn't. Steve said it's just that grass, and he also said that the lawnmower company that we do have now is cutting the grass too short, and that's also aiding to,
Well, yeah, they shouldn't
The
have cut
dying
it if it was
of-
dying,
Right.
or if it was dead.
I saw it
Sure,
sprayed
sure,
the other
sure.
day, Tuesday.
Yeah,
Which was a
shouldn't
month.
have-
right, but, there's no moisture, and
You wanna keep the
how
grass
good is it gonna
alive.
be if
What
there's
were they
no
spraying?
fertilizer?
Barely one, the one.
For fertilizing dead grass.
Is the proposal that all the grass would be dug up and used?
Well, I thought we had them in the beginning, this company. We didn't.
Who?
The one we
LCF?
have now?
Could be, so well.
It sounds like the same.
We had LC Con before.
I haven't seen,
Right
I haven't
before
seen
this
the
contract
contract
should be
yet, but that would
terminated.
really
But
concern
you
me.
could ask them for a breakdown of what those costs
No,
mean.
it's-
Like, is it for the stakes they have to put in at the beginning of the season? You know, there might be added costs.
$2,000?
It
Yeah.
is,
Months.
but you know, you would think that when you write
Yeah,
up a
I remember
proposal
seeing
for
the
your
trucks there too,
contract,
yeah.
all
could've-
your
he could've.
supply fees are involved in that. They are when I would do business.
Well, that's the thing when putting together the apples to apples comparison is you have to have all those spelled out. Includes the stakes, includes the fertilizer, includes this, includes that. Every item that you want on your contract has to be spelled out, and yes, they have it.
Rent supplies and rent-
Otherwise, they can do that. They can say, well, you know, this month we had to buy steaks, or we had to buy extra salt, or, you know, it could be an icy winter all winter, and they have to buy 100 pounds of extra salt. Well, they should come to you and say, before they buy it, say, you know, hey, the weather is, you guys know, the weather's been lousy, and we're gonna have to buy extra salt, it's gonna cost us money.
But normally that's defined in the proposal.
Yeah, what those extras would be at a unit cost, you know, salt
Yeah,
is
So they-
$5 a pound or whatever
You're
it
gonna
is.
get charged for that.
Right.
I mean, that could be any kind of proposal.
Because a lot of times in contracts, they do that, they'll just kind of, not sneak it in there, but just assume that we're gonna go along with it.
There's a lot of those in those financials.
Yeah, and everybody does it,
Unexplained.
it's not unusual, but the thing is, the clearer you have it from the beginning, the less they can do that. And you can say right up front, you cannot proceed on anything unless we approve it.
With PSI handling it though, all you get is this kind of Chinese with no detailed explanation.
Yeah.
But you're already taking over, picking the contractor and going through contracts.
Correct.
So that takes PSI out of the equation. All they gotta do is manage them and, you know, make sure they get paid or whatever they do.
That's the goal, I hope. I hope.
And we have more to say what we really
Some
want.
of them are
Right.
So we need to say, hey, we want this treated a different way. We want this most bit
Well,
taken
sure.
out and this plan
January,
there.
February.
And then they should give us a charge for
That'll be
that
different.
separate.
Well, give you an estimate to approve the charge.
Exactly.
Well, because there's a flat
just
fee,
a-
it's not a monthly.
Cause I go through this all the
It's not a
time
per
with
service
owners,
either.
and they're just relentless that I can't spend $5 unless somebody knows I'm
Next to
spending.
Scott.
I think they also, they don't, it depends on, the pay plan also. Maybe they're paying for only 10 months instead of 12 months. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe they're paying 6 months out of the year, and that's why the prices, the amounts are altered, I think is actually what it
That's
is.
what we were walking around doing.
Because you're not paying, and I'm almost positive that that's what it was, because you're not paying every month for that service, there's a payment plan.
But there's only a $1,232 difference between the months. And one of them is for landscaping costs. That's what I'm saying, these numbers just don't add
It's
up.
January and February, but again, it could be the payment schedule.
Could be.
Well, what, you can call them up
I
and
mean,
tell
I
them
don't
you
know
want a detailed,
offhand.
itemized
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
you know, like report.
Well, it doesn't matter, if their contract, so, we have the same situation, if your contract is for $3,500 and you only bill $200 this month and you bill, you know, $400 the next month and $800 the next month, it really doesn't matter as long as it all totals out at $3,200 at the end. Because maybe they are only spending the money that fast and they're not, you know, evenly spaced out $100 a month, you know what I mean? So, as long as we're paying them the contract amount, that's all that matters.
Exactly, and I don't think,
How they get
as
paid.
far as I remember, I don't think we paid all year for snow removal. I think that's why there's the variation in
So,
bills.
what the question comes down to, if we wanna do something extra with another contractor, we wanna do it now, and we do have a quote, and we do have an explanation what he's gonna do. How do we get to the next point to get this guy moving? Is it gonna be a general vote, you know, throughout the, you know, at the next board meeting, are you gonna wait that long?
You gotta take more, you gotta ask for more proposals.
Well, then you might as well forget it. You might as well say, you know, this season is gone. Because now you've gotta wait till next spring. Because there's a window.
So-
And that's what,
Unfortunately, the landscape contract that we have was so high that it was undoable. It was just, and it was not the same process. And the process did not make sense to me, nor did it make sense to this other landscape contract. I have studied a little bit about turf and how it should be treated, and what they were describing to me.
Well, can we beat up the people that we got now, under the contract we have?
I asked him to.
Oh,
He's a contract manager. He'd have to go to ownership. I said, to get the owner here,
It is,
Something
it's
to
a lot
make-
longer to get a change it.
and they're not gonna, they're big, they're like Pepper Construction. You know, bunch Pepper Construction?
yeah, they're
Something?
good guys.
No, I don't think
They're
so.
awesome.
Gonna change your contract? I don't think so.
Nope, time and material.
So you either live with it, you pay them whatever you're gonna pay them for the end of this year, let them go into the snow plowing, and then next spring, you just gotta figure you're gonna do something entirely different. I can't see,
Well,
but,
we agreed when we were out walking, you and I were talking, and the two of us figured that maybe we could do the October mowing, and then not for a couple weeks, and then have Steve do his work on the seeding, and then do a final mow.
but I think it's
So-
over too late.
Yeah, September.
So dollar wise, if
We could do
you,
sooner, I mean, but
if you cancel the contract you have now, see, I guess the thing that we really don't wanna do is to pinch into our savings. To do it, what you would rather do is stop their contract, bring this guy in, let him finish out the contract, sort of, in a way, for a couple months, and then start fresh in the new year. He can bid on the projects, you know.
that's why we.
There's
figured
something that you
then-
really think that needs to be done before fall, like seeding.
Right,
You should just bid the seeding piece and just hurry up and bid it and
right.
as fast as you can turn it around. I know this guy's probably a good guy, but you still have to have at least a few, so you, and I know you still might be the low guy, but then it gives you all the ammo, you know, that's why you chose him.
Somebody might have a better idea too.
Yeah, there might be,
I mean,
Other
I don't know
options.
anything about landscaping,
Well,
I know
Well, I
it's
do,
late, but
and
I'm just,
I thought this guy made sense, the way he was describing what he would do, as opposed to
what the best are guys do.
He's very educated. I mean, I asked him a lot of questions, and from my experience dealing with landscaping, I mean, he knows what he's doing. The only concern is you bring in one landscaper to do the job, and then we have another landscaper that's coming in either before or behind him. The work isn't really valid, and if he's seeding,
It's not warranted, there's no way to go back after if somebody's
well,
touching his work.
he's so small. It's like having the neighborhood kid come and mow your yard. You know the neighborhood kid doesn't have insurance. But if he breaks your window, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make the neighborhood kid pay for it? More than likely. And in this situation, he's got insurance, he's certified, he's licensed, the whole nine. But if LC Khan comes in 2 days after he does the job and mows, and that's what Harold is trying to explain as far as we're going to get them to hold off for 3 weeks. It only takes 6 to 8 days for grass to start germinating at the right temperature.
Yeah, as long as we get rain.
Right.
Now, here's the next point, rain.
That's
It might not rain
I checked
ever.
Exactly.
I checked with Lowell, Village Hall, okay, about using fire hydrants, because I use fire hydrants all the time. They will let us use the fire hydrants. We'd have to put $1,800 up as a bond or a retainer, no, wait. They give us a meter, a water meter. I hook it up to the, to the fire hydrant, we drag these big ass hoses out, and we can irrigate ourselves. And then that meter will tell you how much water you've used. Water's pretty cheap when you're just using it, it's not going down the sewer. So, if you got $1,800 and you use a quarter of it, you get that refund back. That's how it works. When you turn that water meter in, they read it, and they refund you, and they do refund you that amount. So if we use $400 in irrigation, if we need it, that's one way we can do it. The other way we can do it is if we can get enough homeowners to use a hose business, like me.
Well, I think,
I use mine all
my
the time.
personal opinion is homeowners will do a lot more than you think. If you asked me to kick in $10 to put in grass seed, I'd probably do it, and I'd probably water it. So that's what I'm saying, I bet you a lot of people are like that.
Well,
We're already doing that essentially.
Well, renters are beside the point. I mean, it'd be worth seeing how many people would. You might as well take advantage of people's, motivation to improve it, instead of just automatically charges,
Maybe we can go
How
to
many are
retail.
participating in the water reimbursement?
Ask
We water and not participate.
Yeah, we don't I'm curious how many actually do participate in that.
Well, I didn't get my water bill yet, but I'm gonna bring it over to Village Hall.
Yeah, that's.
No, not to Village Hall.
Huh?
You
Where do I
gotta,
pay,
you gotta
where do you
have,
pay
make
the water
people be
bill?
invested in it,
Oh,
otherwise.
I'm talking
you're
about
just doing
if you
it for 'em.
water
Yeah.
above and beyond
Whether
your
they
normal
care if
use,
Exactly.
you submit that for reimbursement
You're
through
gonna
the
go around and fix it
association,
again next year.
Oh, you
through
do?
ourselves.
Oh, I thought you took it to
I
us
said,
pay your water
they
bill.
won't pick their
They're not
secret,
gonna
that's how
reimburse
it
you.
is.
Yeah, right, but if it's
Oh,
their
I didn't
gas.
get my bill yet, but I was thinking of it, because I
Yeah,
watered every day.
no, that's the association trying to
So I bring it to
encourage
Patty or
people.
Daryl's or-
If it's above and beyond your normal use,
Yeah.
you know, then they'll reimburse that different.
Oh, okay,
I pick up the same.
That's to try to encourage people to water.
okay.
Yeah,
And I pick up.
And her name
You
is.
could submit it to Hankins.
I know they're.
Well, I read the letter, they said it was the years.
Yeah, but that's through the association, not the.
Well, I wasn't taken.
All right,
Right,
anyway, so that's what we have to say about the landscaping.
Kind
Before
of.
the corner.
So it sounds.
If they have insurance and bonded, can you prove that they were the ones probably knocking all them posts? Is there any way to go after these landscapers for knocking into the?
Why don't you set up your camera and try and catch them?
Only if you see them, you first.
That's the only way?
I'm serious.
This doesn't-
Set up your camera
that-
and see if you can catch them.
It doesn't just run all day
Because I don't
though,
think they're gonna, I don't think there's any other way to.
to prove it.
Moving those,
Yeah, how would we do
that post fix on the bottom is not a big deal. It's just a matter of putting a little clip at the bottom to keep it from moving.
Here's the thing, okay, we're talking about.
Well, I'm changing the subject.
On the balconies, right?
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought in these freaking balconies.
Are we doing
Real quick before we go to the balcony thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like the consensus here is to essentially either shut out our current landscaper or at least get strong competition against it. So I guess instead of just leaving it as a debate, can we at least make some kind of stride toward, all right, here's what we want to do, here's what we're going to do to do it, you know what I mean? As far as maybe looking into.
You have a quorum.
Is there a non-fee, is there a penalty for breaking the contract early, so there's nothing?
It's a 30-day, you have a 30-day
It's 30
contract,
days.
or
But you'd have to
30-day
do that like
notice.
now.
Exactly.
Here's what I would suggest.
Right.
If we're in agreement that this $3,000 some odd dollar amount is a good one, and what the service we're gonna get is a viable one, there's no reason we can't call
Steve.
landscape concept,
Oh.
no, that's Steve, David. Hold off cutting for at least 3 weeks. We don't wanna see you back here in until 3 weeks. Let this guy come in, let him do his thing, and then we'll water if we have to. And in 3 weeks, whatever he's done will have taken root, taken germinated, or whatever it does.
So what did you have a bid on, basically reseeding on a dead spot?
He's gonna slit seed where he actually
Yeah, they
Cut
cut.
They do a power rake. They
do
power
a
rake
power
it all
rake,
up,
they,
and it's-
they inject seed somehow. He says the netting is very labor intensive.
Yeah, very
So
expensive.
when you do that net, everything cost-wise is labor.
I just did 50 acres of slit seeding, I know exactly how it works, and I've had to patch with the other stuff too, and I know how that works. And it is expensive and labor consuming, but the problem with slit seeding is just like any seeding, if there's not enough water, it's not gonna germinate.
Exactly.
So it really comes down to how are we gonna water it?
Well, take,
Because it might not rain again until
That's,
Right.
snow flies.
I would be willing if maybe another board member or two would go building to building and find out who in which building is going to water, if they will water. And let them know, please, if they wanna turn our water bills into one of us and we can mail it in and get a check mailed to them for water reimbursement.
When's the last time of year you can slow seed?
You can go all the way to like November, but
Well-
that's the very outside edge.
they're saying.
They usually say Thanksgiving is like it. You can't do
They're
anything.
saying no later than September.
so one of the board members should make a motion.
What about the ends of the driveway area where they just rip that up every year when they plow?
We're looking at
Yes.
doing
We're looking
something
at
with
that.
that, where
As well.
To try to come up with something where it's either gonna grow all the time, or it's gonna be a surface that's.
You know, I was thinking
It's not
about that.
impervious, but.
You guys were walking around, Heidi told me you were walking around talking about that. What we did in some certain circumstances like that is plant sedum. It doesn't need water, it doesn't need fertilizer, it doesn't need anything, it just grows and lives and only grows this tall. And you can drive over it, you can,
It looks like
even if
a
it
It's like a
gets,
ground cover.
it looks like a ground cover,
It's a perennial, it looks like.
but it's,
doesn't, yeah.
but it doesn't die back in the winter, it just gets covered with soil and greens up again in the spring.
And it never
But
gets mowed.
instead of, because she said one of the things we were thinking about was hardscape. The thing about hardscape is you don't really want it to look like continuous driveways, it's the entire front of all the buildings. I think that would have some green in there and some way to grab some of the water out of the
I see
driveways.
them this time.
Huh.
Yeah, one that's something like that.
We're talking about near the street.
Yeah, in that, those strips that grass has a hard time.
The thing about those strips, and then as Penny was talking to Steve about, that's his name, right? Those strips, I mean, they're all gravel. They're all gravel and it's all clay. I mean, we're gonna dig it up. I mean, if we dig it up and we do plant something there, what's the viability of it even taken?
Right.
I mean, I planted flowers in that area this year, you know, and watered it the best I could. It didn't take.
That's why that sedum's ideal.
Because
This
the
is
seed
like
can
a
grow in
drought.
anything, rocks
Yeah.
or clay or sand or whatever
I
there is.
guarantee you, if I dug that up and I put soil in there, I
Oh,
can
no,
make, I
I'm
can
getting
make
that.
that grow. I
Let
can
you
make
know
that
we
grow.
already done mine up, so.
Huh?
You did?
Huh?
Did you put a whole bunch of
I didn't
stuff?
do it yet, because I got most of the clay out of there and I'm down to all rocks.
Yeah,
And
it's
my
a
garbage gets pretty
disaster.
heavy, so I have to wait till that gets cleared out.
Are you 1344, Krista?
Huh? You saw that?
You saw the whole,
Yeah,
I was gonna tell you, somebody's gonna trip and break their neck on you.
yeah, I started doing
Where
that.
did you put it, the end of your driveway?
Yeah.
So I think that that
Put
requires a
soil
little bit of looking
grass.
into, and maybe that Steve guy can.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, can you ask Steve about this sedum, because when people drive over that, like, our neighbors are also notorious for driving over the grass, and there's like huge tire tracks there too.
So hard to back out of the driveway.
Yeah, it's hard to line that up and get in there. So,
If they're driving over, they're gonna drive right to see them, so.
but he just said that it doesn't matter.
That you can see
Right.
them as
They'll
durable,
come
you can
back.
walk on it. The best thing about it doesn't need water and it doesn't need maintenance.
And if it's sturdy,
It
it
looks
keeps the
green all
weeds
the
out,
time.
right?
Huh?
If it's sturdy, it keeps the weeds
Well,
out.
it has a really tight root structure, so eventually it becomes like a carpet of the material that doesn't, you know.
I mean,
Under
and
my air
not like
conditioner,
seed
so I
grass in
wouldn't
those areas, because it just seems like a waste to do that.
Hmm.
If it's just gonna get torn up this winter, it always does. So,
Well, that's a good point, so maybe not spend money on seed for those particular areas, just in the green space.
Oh, yeah, so that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about those strips,
Yeah, yeah. Well, we told them the whole front, all the way up to the backs of the buildings, but we didn't tell them.
but not the driveway.
Right.
So then maybe that'll lower the amount even more.
not those
Just
little
let me mail
tiny.
them and ask.
Yeah.
Well, he said
Sidewalk.
that he wouldn't consider that.
Yeah, he did say that, I remember.
I'll send it, I'll just verify with it,
Verify,
because,
I'm sure it is.
maybe, I mean, if it'll knock off 500 to 1,000, whatever, we,
If he did those, it'd probably add a couple of grand.
no, if we knock it off there.
I know.
Yeah, if he does have it on
Yes.
there, yeah.
All right, now, anything else?
Well, I think he wants a
Plan.
firm of what are we
Yeah,
doing,
yeah,
and
How
how
are
are
you
we,
doing?
and what are we doing, and how are we
I'm
doing.
not
That's
trying to
what
pressure anybody by
Not
any
at all.
means, but, you know, I feel like it's best just to,
Yeah.
it seems like I said, it seems like everybody's at least on the same page, maybe not the same exact idea, but at least we can leave here, at least maybe next time
Check
we
it out.
meet, say, all right, you know.
So what's the
this is what we
benefit
wanna do,
between
and actually
doing
make
it
something
now?
happen.
Well, does anybody here have a problem?
Is there any benefit?
Well, he did good.
I mean, I don't,
I
Make
don't have a problem with it.
you have a problem, Betty, with two bids?
I'm fine with the one
Right.
company using the one.
Are we
company.
okay liability? I mean, it's not an
You
issue.
guys have a
One
problem
of
with
two
two
bids.
bids if we move forward?
No. No, you can have one bid, you get a 5 bids. and
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
the
just
board
saying,
wants.
I
It'd
mean.
be nice to get a check number just to get one more, so
We
just
can,
to
we
check.
have time.
You're not married to him, there's always
I
next
will,
time.
And then you know what's, yep.
It's fine with my
I would
company.
say.
I-
He's still probably the low guy anyway.
I can get another company. I can get two.
She
two.
recommended
Yes,
one.
you got another
I can
company.
use your company.
Right.
Well, then we can use both.
And then you could just say, you know, as a preface to it is, you know, we're looking for somebody new for next year, and depending on how this goes, we would like to consider you for next year. You know, then at least you got a carrot out there where they might wanna
Carol.
care about what they're doing and make sure that it grows good.
You can still decide on the action even if the specific person,
Right, the action is decided, right?
All right, so if we can get some numbers by early part of next week, we can reconvene on Thursday and make a decision.
You can make the motion and decide now to go through with the action and just depend it on the best bid.
Well, again, it's gotta be apples for apples. You can't take one bid and say it's the same as Steve's, so we have to describe what Steve's method is.
Well, you have to spell it out, it has to be slip seated, it only includes the back, you know.
Up to that.
Or you can even see what those guys propose, and maybe they have something different, and then you can, if you have three different people with three different ideas, could
How
you
about
say,
this, the proposal should be.
you know,
It
the
could be,
The motion
receipt
should
is
be
the
that
main
we're gonna make
thing,
a
right?
decision by next Thursday based on the outcome.
Yeah, cause it's basically just receiving the dead spots, right?
Basically, we're
Nancy
making a
will be here
motion.
next week.
It's from the back of the house to the
They've
side.
done this Carolina,
Nancy will be here next week.
and they're looking for,
Some,
the front
some
side.
areas are larger than others.
so I.
Oh,
we
you
get
guys
together Monday
see
night.
like,
include like the.
is there a lot of really good stuff?
Yes.
Should be in town the 27th.
Ours is we watered, and every, ours is like,
Yeah, she'll be here.
so there's a lot of good
So,
stuff.
if you wanna get together Tuesday again, we can all discuss this
There's a lot
again.
of pads,
If we can get a couple bids, I
nothing
don't know where.
grows.
No, I can get her, I'll get her up to speed.
Areas
I just-
that are-
That way she has an idea of what's up.
Okay, I gave my
It's
heads
just
up.
we as a board are making a motion to move forward with this slip sheet, we just have to do the contract.
Does anybody
Proposal
want
will
to
be
make a motion?
made by.
I'll make a motion.
And this is the
I'll second
correct
it.
number, so.
Okay.
Are we all in favor? Are we all in favor?
The board
Next Thursday, we're
votes.
gonna make a decision on this?
Oh, you're gonna have the bids?
We're gonna have the bids, come hell or high
I
water.
just talked about it, I told him you guys are gonna call, I left him a
And then
message.
what are we gonna do about watering?
We're gonna have to be very creative and we're gonna have to figure it out. There's a lot of people here, I think, that, you know, can go around to their neighbors and somehow.
We can
get
just,
a
you know,
Post it on the thing.
the sell could be that, you know, we got a really good deal on the seating guy, but the thing to make it take off is we need everybody's help to.
Now, what the, village hall said, a lot of times, when they hook up to these fire hydrants,
Jason won't.
the landscaping guy would bring his truck with his
tanker.
reservoir,
Right.
and you could just fill it
The other two
From
are-
the fire
from a central fire hydrant location, and he'll go around, and then he'll water another area.
Well, does this guy got
So,
a
no,
truck?
but maybe our
Maybe
present
somebody,
contractor, I'm sure he's got all kinds of.
oh,
Oh, yeah, he does.
You know, if he charges us $50 an hour, whatever it is.
so did
that
you
would-
guys get a quote from him to
$20
do
an
the
hour.
receiving? Slip
$28
seating?
an hour for water. And
Did
it was
he,
almost-
did he
I don't
quote
know
on
if
this
that's
slip
fair.
seating or whatever you call
He
it?
had a different method that didn't make any sense.
Oh.
Yeah.
To me, or to this other landscape.
Well, there would be an easy one though, because he already works for us. You could just say, we understand the way you're doing it, but we want a cost from you to do this, let's say.
His prices are ridiculous.
Well, there would at least, you'd be able to see right away the two, and then if you got a third one from her, then, you know, it's gonna take, getting bids is a slow process.
We asked him.
Nobody wants to do it.
What?
We asked him about the slit seating, and I thought he was totally against it.
Probably because he doesn't have the
It was,
equipment.
there was terminology in his proposal about that. There were three options, and that was one of the options, was, all of his,
He's
all of
talking
his
about roads,
proposal.
and then the
Biz
seats go down.
that they're potentially looking at, are these gonna be the same people that, you know, in the
So it's
future
not
are
just
potentially,
It's not
you know,
scattered, it's
the lawn
actually
cutting and everything
planted.
else, or this is just
Possibly.
slip seats.
Right,
And that-
like Steve, no,
Yeah,
because he
And
doesn't
then
have his own.
there's one other thing about split seating too, there's a spacing. Some people split seat at 4 inch on center, 6 inch on center, 8 inch on center, makes a difference.
Some areas will probably be 4 inches on the side.
So, but I would specify it, you know, we want it all 4 inch or whatever you decide is the correct amount.
4 inch.
So it's all apples to apples when you
Right.
get the bids.
Cause the one guy may say, oh yeah, we'll do it, and then his is really all 6 inch, and this guy's really 4 inch. Unless you tell them they'll do it the way they always do it.
Right.
Of course, I would think 4 inches would be better.
Oh yeah, the more the better, obviously, the closer.
So let's press
4
Steve
inches.
and just tell him we're assuming.
What would you call that, 4 inch?
4 inch on center. It could be 4 or 6 inch, I don't know what the industry standard is, so
Going back to
that, it might be 6 inch.
if our current landscaper does some damage or does something that what he does, I guarantee you, Steve will come back and help fix it. I have no doubt, I know his,
I mean, how could they do damage?
no, I just be going over what he's done and maybe running over it with a wheel and killing the
Yeah,
seeds
we
that have
put those
germinated or
little-
something, or. the flags, we can
Yeah.
put flags out there, but
Like the whole area will be flags.
everything, the whole community will be flagged up.
For the watering, Harold, should we make a motion right now to include so much money for that watering, if it does come to it? The money is then
Well,
allocated.
it's obvious we definitely have to water, so
All right,
it's-
so-
there's gonna be a cost involved with it.
Well, we have budgeted for,
Okay.
I already spoke with Nancy and I discussed with her the budget, and she's gonna be sending out a rough, copy of the budget. We had 20,000 for landscaping prior, this last year. This year we did 25,000 or whatever, I added 5,000 for whatever extras because our landscaping was so low. So, I mean, even if you do 1,800, it's in the budget already. You have
It's not
25,000.
On top of
1,800,
the-
it's 1,800 just to,
Just
Right,
to set it
that's
right,
what I'm saying.
you use what.
that doesn't mean we're gonna
No,
spend.
no, I understand that, I'm just saying, you don't have to, I mean, you already
It
budgeted
could
for
rain,
it.
it could rain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just saying to be covered, that's all,
yeah,
just in case.
it's
we-
budgeted already.
But I would do the same thing, I would just put a blanket thing around the boxes and say, we need your help watering, we're getting new seed or something.
We could try
Just
to.
kind of stir up the populace and see who will
Just
do it. I
Just
bet there'll be a
remind
lot of
people
people.
that they can get
What'd you
reimbursed.
say, just
Yeah, how does the reimbursement?
Orange on center.
It's, your bill now against the bill in the winter,
Did you get reimbursement?
where you can get the difference.
You can.
So if your water bill is like
You know what
30
gets
bucks
me?
and then it's 50 bucks when you're watering every day, you can get the 20 bucks.
And then that would be claimed through,
Nancy.
Homeowner.
you
just,
send
oh,
your-
it's just assigned to be pulled from.
Yeah, you send your bill.
You gotta send the winter bill too, which you probably don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not.
You can go to the village of, you can write the village of Volo and ask them if you can have that bill.
Yeah.
The village really should not be charging us the same rate on watering and irrigation, because they're basing it on a sewer charge. Granted, there's no way for them to know how many gallons
Right,
they're using,
right.
but it should be a much reduced charge. for irrigation.
$1,800 is gonna be enough, I think,
Excellent.
even with renting the truck. and
We're
all
hoping for rain.
that. Well, I know, but we got hurt on that one in April, so,
I can't imagine it being more than that.
so $1,800.
I mean, I watered all summer long, and all it was $50.
Right, but I'm talking, this guy has to get a truck to drive around the water.
That's all it was,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we watered.
So, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't water, because I was definitely.
I watered
my
it
water
once,
was gonna go
and I was
fine.
over 150,
You were?
yeah.
Mhm.
But I water a ton. Like I move my sprinkler around the backyard to water,
Yeah.
I mean, Carol's seen it all backyard.
I think a lot of people
In the center area do that.
yeah, because there was somebody who across the way who had a big green space.
I didn't get my water bill.
Must
No,
be
it
free
isn't.
then.
No.
Can we move on to the
Yes.
next?
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
these decks, okay? I put a lot of thought into this. And because I'm such a good estimator, I can't see these decks costing any more than $1,100-$1,200 per deck.
Now, wait, what are we talking about, the pole that holds them up?
The stanchion poles that are on the concrete footings that are supporting the decks above,
I had
some of them
people
are
say
distorted.
that. So,
First of all, number one,
the pole in my backyard.
number
I
one,
know the deck pole.
you gotta follow the code. They're not installed for the IRC code. So however they're changed, has to meet the code. Whether they're inspected or they're not inspected, it still has to meet the code. So you have to do it in such a way that you're going to satisfy the code requirement.
How do you know it's not up to code?
Because I've checked the books.
Because I have a voicemail that I haven't got to play you yet from the gentleman at Village of Olo who says that they are.
They had to inspect them when they built them, so there, you probably have the 4 foot of concrete below that you're supposed to have, but the thing that they don't have is the clip that holds the pole in place.
In the bottom.
And so when the guy came to inspect the holes, he's good, you know, you did the hole correctly, and they never came back to check for a clip.
Post, the wooden post, is supposed to be between 4 and 5 inches above grade.
Well, Womanites to be on grade,
No,
there's a 30-year lifetime
I
grade.
don't think so. I think when you look at the IRC code, it's very specific, you know, what that dimension is. If they don't meet, it's like a tread and a stair. You know, if you don't meet that dimension on that tread, and they vary too much, you rip out the stair, you're gonna redo it. So you So you gotta go by the IRC, whatever the IRC code says, that's how you have to build it.
You should check with Volo, because not all codes are,
They
they don't, might not use the IRC code either.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
He's an inspector, by the way.
I'm one of the inspectors.
Yeah.
But I'm not the building inspector. They hire a company from Wisconsin. So we got a bunch of guys coming from Wisconsin that are doing these inspections. And from what I understood, when I went into the village, the final inspections haven't been accepted. How they got occupancy, I asked the question, and they couldn't answer it. Because I wanted to see the documentation that they were.
Because according to this guy.
Usually what happens is they get inspected but not signed off. If they did something wrong, it definitely falls
Can you guys
under
keep it down for 1 second?
That's a good point. Well, except that's the original business. The original builder, that wasn't on it, the original.
Oh, you have a brand new place? Do you have a brand new place that you just bought?
Well,
So he's claiming that
They-
they wouldn't put him in there if they weren't internal.
Right.
Yeah, I thought revenue.
So you should call, what was it, Eugene, I think they said his name was, is that who you see?
Well, he just said he would come out and take a
Well,
look.
that's worth looking into for sure.
Why don't we have him come out and take a look at it?
Absolutely, because he's saying that they've been approved.
Okay.
So we should have him come out and show him, I mean, at least I know Alicia's unit for sure.
Yeah, but that still doesn't account for the fact that these posts are moving.
Well, that's what I'm
They're
saying.
moving
the
off
landscaper
off
hits
the footing.
Well, they might say that, it's damaged.
It is,
If you look at
90%
them,
of
they're
it.
evident.
No, but if they were installed properly,
Well, here,
a lawnmower, a friggin' lawnmower couldn't move.
so here's our warranty coverage from Town and Country.
Uh-oh.
So years 2 through 10, we still have coverage.
So you
If
have
there's
to,
warranty date, homeowner warranty date, common elements, which they're a common element, a limited common
Right,
element.
right,
They warrant the construction of our home.
for 10 years.
For
For structural elements, for
structural
sure.
That's great and dandy. I have a neighbor who can't get a tub replaced, and she just closed down her house 3 months
So
ago.
if it's Town and Country that didn't do them right to begin with,
We should
then
go
we have
after
to
them.
pursue it through.
You know, is Town and Country one of the companies that was filed for bankruptcy?
No.
No,
No, that was
Remington.
Remington.
That was the developer, right, not the builder.
Havonian,
Avonian is the developer.
that's Town and Country.
That is Town.
Yeah.
Well, if that's
That's
the
worth looking
case,
into.
that's totally worth looking into. Let's not let them fix it.
Well, it's still blood from the turnip. They're gonna fight it the whole way. They're
Right,
not
right,
gonna
and
give
we
in.
wanna leave you guys in jeopardy, is what I'm saying.
Well, then, I called my homeowner's insurance today
Right?
to talk to them about it, and they said that it would not be covered under our personal homeowner's insurance because it's a limited common element. And they were wondering if the association has contacted the association's insurance, because that's something,
It may be covered under that.
yes, and
Like the homeowner's insurance for the whole community.
We contacted them asking them about a liability issue. If somebody were,
But
because
one of the
this was the argument before, was that Scott was saying that it's their responsibility, it's their balcony. But the issue is, if somebody gets hurt,
It's
they're
ours.
on common property,
Mhm.
we would be liable. Our
Right.
insurance would absolutely be
I-
liable.
our insurance said, because I said hypothetical, someone standing in my balcony and collapses, am I responsible?
No, it's the association.
And he said, most likely no, it would be the
But you'd still
association.
get sued, for sure.
Well,
You'd be named.
Yeah.
Well, right, I mean, I'm not, it's hypothetical, I'm just saying that he said that this is something that should be pursued through the homeowners association's insurance, and, possibly the builder if it's a defect, and that, that this is something,
Yeah, what you could do is make the builder prove that the landscapers did it. Instead
Well,
of that it's a
and if-
defect, because if it happens in like 90% of them aren't caused by the landscaper. Has to
if they
be.
never have
You-
a
you've seen
permit
some of them?
signed off on.
Yeah, so some of them, they're warped and checked, and I think that's just bad lumber purchasing, they bought
But
the
see, the
cheapest stuff they
engineer
could
that we
find.
had come out said that the lumber, when they put it up, it was wet, it was 100 pounds, it
Right.
dries out at 25 pounds, he said, the splitting and the bowing is because they're not sealed.
No, it's because it's drying out, it's not kiln dried.
Well,
What happens with treated
sealing
lumber
would protect
especially,
that, wouldn't it? He said from the UV rays, he said sealing would
it
protect
should
it.
discolor and it will dry out, but it shouldn't, the structure of the lumber shouldn't be an issue. Usually what happens when lumber fails like that is that it wasn't kiln dried enough before it was made into lumber. So when they cut up a tree and they make it into lumber, it sits in a kiln for like weeks until it reaches a certain dryness, and then it goes and gets treated, and then it's sold to the
So that's
public.
what he said also, right, I mean, it's similar to what he said, you know, they put it up 100 pounds soaking wet,
Right,
they dry out, now they're 25 pounds, he said that's why they're splitting and bowing.
yeah, so if you would buy from they probably got them from Menards or Home Depot or one of these instead of a lumberyard.
Paid very inexpensive.
Right, and from a lumberyard, you pay $1 more, but and they store them inside and they dry out 100% before you use them. But that's all that is just drying out and then they twist. So,
Doesn't change their integrity necessarily.
no, not necessarily, they look
Just
bad.
looks bad, yeah, yeah. So,
But
action.
they are destroying, they are pulling the nails out of the clips on top.
Yeah, right, so they have to be dealt with. I
They're
mean,
also turning on the base.
So, seeing as how most of these options can take a long time, both the builder and, whatever, do we want as an association do something?
Well,
I think,
safety wise, I think you
Well,
have
that's
to.
what I'm
go
saying.
Can you
with-
identify the
I'll
worst of them?
claim-
The worst of them would fix them.
Yeah, we can file a grievance with them later, but we should definitely.
But I think
Well,
when
if
we
you go
file a
through the
claim.
homeowner's insurance,
Exactly.
you file a claim through them, they pay it out, they're gonna get subrogation from Town and Country.
Yeah,
So
they're the
it's
ones
not
that
like
go after.
the association, you personally have to go after Town and Country. If you file the insurance claim, they will go after Town and Country, and they're gonna have much more power
Yes.
than we do.
And they'll have more time to chase them.
They
Yeah.
have the time,
But
they
you
have the
could-
power, they have their.
You could sell it to the insurance company that way, that it's becoming a safety issue and we're getting concerned and something needs to be done, we're filing a claim. And, if there's no action within 30 days or whatever, we gotta start fixing the fuel.
In our favor, Town and Country does have a history of bad structural integrity in their decks. They have paid out several amounts of lawsuits from them
That
following.
would be helpful documentation when you go to our insurance company.
There were 2 people killed back in '04 from the home, the deck, when it was, and I read the document, the deck was not bolted to the home. It was in the studs, but when the inspector come through, he did not observe it. The people were in their home for several months. A wife and her child were on the deck. The deck literally separated from the home and collapsed. And I said killed. I think the daughter died and maybe the wife survived, but you're falling 20 feet unexpectedly. However, they do have a history of it. I agree. We file a claim to the insurance company. This will be handled within 30 days. I'm almost going to
They
guarantee
may
it.
send somebody out to look at the.
They will send somebody out, but
They might say, we're not gonna cover it, this looks like landscaper damage, whatever, but at least you've recorded all that and you've gone through the proper channels.
But they might still cover it.
They
And then
still
we go
might,
to
they
the
might.
landscape company and say,
Right.
you messed these up, you're gonna pay us back for them because this is a safety issue for this community.
Yeah,
But
as
it's
soon as
for-
they have to
it's
pay
in
out,
the
they're gonna
damage,
chase
was it?
somebody.
They don't like to pay out.
I mean, we've
But
had
I
that
mean,
giant
it's pretty-
screw that popped out,
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
laying
yeah.
out.
Probably
Right,
would not landscape.
Right, but it
Well,
was
you
like-
can see by the.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
checker.
So let's go to action.
Okay.
Vehicle.
make a motion to file a claim with the insurance company.
Agree?
So I second that.
All right?
From seeing tornado damage and hurricane structural damage, that you get a response within hours. If you are in your home, let's say for example, an AC unit explodes or a heating unit explodes and you file on your homeowner, you get the opportunity to go and write a blank check to get it repaired. They're gonna come out and assess everything. And then they're gonna go after the company
whoever they
install
think it
it,
is.
or
If you're
whoever
talking
they get
about
the money from.
60 balconies or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking a lot of money here, so
So you're going to file a claim with our insurance company,
the association's insurance.
company?
Because the other part of that is if we start fixing them, we're like taking that on.
We're walking away from it.
Right, exactly.
You need a third. I heard first and a second.
So,
Second.
who
I'm in
calls
favor.
it?
Anybody third that?
I do.
The board has to
All
vote.
in favor?
Harold,
Aye.
Harold,
We all do, I do, yeah.
And I mean, I would.
I just wanted to know who's going
Yes.
to
Insurance.
call.
Can we make a copy?
Yeah, you give me the number, I'll call.
we got that.
You give me the number. I'll
I mean,
call.
it was in our packet that we got from
Mike
Town
was
and
very
Country.
good. Yeah, well, you knew we got, yeah.
I'm not
because-
familiar since 2006.
And you kept that?
Wow, what a good
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure we have.
I also have,
somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
somewhere,
you know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
green plastic envelopes, did you get that? Yeah, it was in there.
Yeah.
all right.
With the-
Look through it, but I have it.
But declaration, yeah, I looked through today, so this balcony thing.
There's a neighbor across the street with several claims and defects. 3 months she's closed on the house. 3 months in the new section, she can't get any cooperation from TNC.
See, they were very cooperative with us. We have a.
You were at the
vaulted
beginning.
ceiling, And it kept collapsing. And they came out, they probably should have taken them 3 or 4 times to fix it, but they did finally get it right. No.
Yikes.
So they did do the repairs.
Well, it's our money otherwise, so it's be better if it was their money.
Right.
Can we move on?
Sure.
I'm gonna revert back real quick. I pulled up the work order after I found it. He wrote us for three separate things. The first one was $5,520. It covered turf renovation, seed and blending. Selected areas, surfaces for his first scarif to disturb natural soil compaction display of thatch layer. He goes on and on and on to say what his steps were. Second one was turf renovation, split seed. Select areas are split seeded with turf mechanically placed into grooves created by the machine.
Didn't say the inches.
Yeah, the
No.
machine might be a standard. I know that in ours, it was variable between like 4 and 6 or 6 and 8 or something.
That renovation was for $4,000. $4,140. The third was for turf renovation, aeration, and overseeding. Selected areas are core aerated with multiple passes to loosen the soil and provide top dress material from the full course. Turf seed is then broadcasted over the area. Starter fertilizer is then applied to assist in turf establishment. However, aeration, you cannot guarantee a depth. In split seeding, you pretty much have an idea of what the depth is going to be. That is why it is more viable to utilize. This step here was basically to appease us at the cost that we were trying to get him down to. He only wanted to charge us $1,100 for this. But it's not going to assist us in the problems that we were having.
Well, we know how broadcasting works.
Right. Yeah, right.
Not well.
Okay.
I see that the sinkholes are also on the agenda.
Well,
Are those covered because those are a limited common element too on the driveways. And when they, right, and they just keep getting repaired. You should ask the homeowner's insurance about that too. Because if that's something that they did wrong, if they did not put those driveways in correctly, they should come back out and fix them instead of replacing them or repairing them every year.
I got a question for you. Do you think it would be wiser for us to file one large claim of errors or individual claims?
I don't know how it would work out. I think you need to call the homeowner's insurance and tell them,
You gotta
we have
define
X amount of
How are they gonna do
balconies.
it?
I would separate them out because they could fix them one at a time or not fix them, or if they're all lumped together, they may reject one and they'll hold up
But
everything
they may
else.
miss
Yeah, I think so too.
They're two separate claims in their eyes anyway.
But
Plus,
now,
don't we have a guy, like, or a person, or an insurance person, that you could call and talk to on a casual basis without going through all these hoops and making sure it's a viable plan of attack?
Sure.
Like our own agent.
Like our
Claims
agents.
rep, yeah.
Yeah.
If they wanna sell us insurance next year, you gotta help us through this one this year.
But I think you should bring up the sinkholes, in a totally separate thing, but just say,
Well, I brought that up to the village of Lowell,
But if it's, I
over a
mean,
year ago, and they shied away from that as well.
Yeah.
because it
But
wasn't
that-
the
that's an
village of
inspection,
Yeah,
that's an inspectional process before they can,
or,
you know.
They're supposed to, the process is when they dump the stone down, they're supposed to proof roll it. So what that means is get one of those big rollers out there and roll the stone, and then they measure the deflection. You hire a testing service to measure how much it deflects. And you have to be at a certain level for driveways, and roads are a little different, truck traffic is different. But then, as soon as you make that, then you're approved to pave. But if it rains that day, if, you know, there's a million factors that can happen, the inspector's not gonna come back, you're not gonna have it retested, they're just gonna pave it, and that's that. And there's no way, the inspectors will never sign off on that, because they've already said it's okay to prove, to pave, they're not gonna go back and say, well, we made a mistake.
but what did Volos tell you?
Well, inspectors normally don't give you permission to pave. All they do is inspect what they're inspecting.
Yeah, inspect it.
Somebody else from the village has to make that call.
Well, like, for me, I would hire a testing service, and they'd come out, the inspector would come, I'd have the testing guy here, and he'd say, yep, it meets our the spec, or the requirement, and then the inspector would say, okay, that's fine, let's go.
I doubt it's that.
No, I doubt it. They might do it on roadways, but they definitely don't do it on driveways.
Are we ready to move on to something else?
We gonna do anything with
I
sinkholes,
think,
or-
as far as the sinkholes go, I think we're stuck with a really bad situation. And there is no remedy that I can think of to fix it. And I think you just have to fix it on a per item basis.
It's worth asking
Forever?
about to see if it would be covered. It is a defect, we're fixing them.
I mean, there are the homeowners with the driveways that have the problems, are they
Well, the association is paying for those.
reimbursing the association, or is
No,
that?
the
Owners
association
have not been
take care of it.
paying, the association has been prepared to pay for it.
That's good money
This is
after
why that's-
bad, right?
As well, that's also a liability issue.
Right,
Well,
I mean, I
that's
see,
the whole point.
yeah, no, I mean, I see that, and I see that it's not, I mean, the homeowner's responsibility, that unfortunately their driveway has a sinkhole in it.
Right.
I mean, I get that,
It's
but,
unfortunate they have that outflow of cash though, and something.
right, it just seems like,
It's
if
not only
there's
the
some.
driveways, it's.
It's
And
not-
It's in the grass too, over by the utilities, around the electrical boxes,
Yeah.
to the phone box.
Right.
They didn't impact any of that, they just
Yeah, I mean, but,
dumped some stone.
I don't know, it just seems like it should be fixed and
Well,
not
that can be
being
addressed
constantly
too with
repaired.
the insurance company, right?
We just have a little list of questions, things that we know that are problems, and
We can ask the insurance company about sinkholes and see what's up.
Because maybe they'll go back after them too.
Right.
Because that's.
I think you get a better
covered
chance on
under
the
same
post than
warranty.
sinkholes, but
Yeah.
it's worth
I
a
mean, it's a
shot.
common element, so
Right.
it's covered under that contract.
I think we really gotta review that policy, because I'd be willing to bet that it's a structural thing.
Yeah, but, hey, we can try it. Why not?
I mean, if your yard catches on fire, they're not gonna replace it.
Right, no, that's in there, that says